By the way, when I say the loan is not assumable, that's not true. The loan is assumable, but it requires qualification. And that's with FHA or VA. And when that loan is assumed and somebody qualifies to assume it, the originator is released from liability. Well, if what you're saying is true, I would like to know about it. Okay. She said that if the veteran cries hardship, he can go down and apply to have the loan assumed without qualifying. If that's true, all of your sellers are in hardship cases, aren't they? I'd like to have the facts on that. I'd like to have the facts, because that's a piece of knowledge that very few people have privy to, if that's true, without any catches.
Have you heard of Jeff Elias?
Yeah, I've heard of Jeff Elias.
That's where I got the information
Well,
from my daughter.
check it out, let me know. Yes?
The other thing to note about the qualifying on FHA loans and VA loans is that you also must be an owner-occupant to do it.
To assume them.
To assume them, yes.
That's true.
How do I know about that?
Well, to tell you the truth, am I worried about all that anyway? Am I going to get into a deal where I got to get somebody to qualify to assume these loans? If you haven't picked that up, you missed the whole thing here now. I'm not going to buy a house where the only way I can get out of it is to have somebody come in and qualify to assume the loan. Folks, that is no easier than having them go out and get a new loan. It's the same process. You got to have exactly the same qualifications. I'm not going to get into that trap. That's not what I want to do. If I can't create a no qualifying deal, I don't want to do it. Yes?
Ron, would you happen to know if the FHA loan was originated in 85 or whatever, and then they went into a streamlined refi during 93, is that?
They changed the rules.
They did.
And they screwed up the loan.
Okay.
And they put a due on sale clause in it.
Thank you.
Probably. And the poor unsuspecting seller never knew the difference. The poor unsuspecting seller didn't know that they just destroyed the sellability of their house. Okay, your posture. Folks, after you've done this a while, and maybe some of you in the very beginning, will figure it out that when you're out here buying houses, you don't need to be in a begging position. You are the solution provider. You don't have anything to defend yourself against. You are the person that can make things happen for those who want to allow you to come into their lives and let it happen. If you develop the attitude like you got to convince them why they should do business with you and not the opposite, pretty soon you're going to be crawling around on your hands and knees. Who said sucking up your pantyhose? Who said that? You? And you're going to just portray the whole wrong attitude to your seller, and they'll pick it up like that. I'd rather you walk in with your chest high, your nose up in the air, with a smart-alecky attitude and a cocky tone in your voice than to walk around like a wimp, begging for them to sell you their house. Your posture is, if I can provide you with a solution, I'd love to do so. If not, neither of us want to do business, do we? That's not only my posture. I say that to sellers all the time. If I can't come up with something that we both like, we don't want to do anything, do we? No, you're absolutely right. Well, good. We understand that. Okay? I make it very clear I'm here to make a profit. I make it very clear here I may or may not have the answers. However, I do have some solutions. If you like them, we'll do it. If you don't, we won't, and we'll part friends. And I will be available to you if you change your mind. I always leave the back door open. I never slam it in my own face, because many times they'll come right back at you when you've had time to think about what you've talked about, or their life changes and they even get more motivated. And folks, when sellers are motivated enough to call you in the first place, do they usually get more motivated? If they don't get their house sold, the answer is yes. So don't beg. Don't even ask twice. They're either in or out. You shouldn't go on a defensive. You have nothing to defend yourself against. It's your job to state your case, answer questions, work with those who get the message, and get rid of those who don't. Those who get the message will be begging you. Don't expect everyone to jump in. Some will. Some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. SW, 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 SW. I think I learned that in my old multi-level days. I must have learned that from Amway. SW, 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 SW. When you get good at answering objections, you'll be surprised and amazed at how many times you'll get a yes. In this module, you'll find there's a tape in here called Conversations with Sellers, where I actually get on the phone and talk to people. You will see how I talk to people in real life situations on the telephone. Again, let's put this into a very simplified version here. When you're screening incoming calls, it's this simple. Can I steal it? If not, can I create some kind of seller financing that I can pass on to a no qualifying buyer? If not, can I lease option it or option it? If not, next. Your word processor should be analyzing every lead that comes in just like that. Your word processor between your ears. And the questions that I just gave you is the only questions you need to get to those answers. So it's not that complicated to do it. Step 3 in our step-by-step process is to make an appointment to see the house if you like the information that the seller has given you after you pre-screened them. Make sure all the decision makers are present. If you visit a house that is owned by husband and wife only wife or husband is there, you are wasting your trip. You'll not be able to explain it to one so they can explain it to the other. You will not get a decision that night, and you will probably do more harm than good. The best thing you can do is wait till both parties are present and explain it to them at the same time. Yes?
When you present an offer to the husband and wife, do you give them kind of a specific time in which you wish to have a response back on that offer if you're not going to get it right at that moment? Do you give them like 2 days, or do you say whenever you decide to get around to getting a response?
What I do is I learned to take the pressure off. And I just tell them, look, here, in fact, you learn, I think, here in a few minutes about the art of doing multiple offers to them. In fact, we're going to get to that shortly. And in that process, I'll give them a couple, 3 choices, and I'll let them decide. Sometimes they decide on the spot. Others, it might take them a day or 2 or 3. I don't push them. I say, well, how long do you think it'll take you to make a decision? Will you call me back at that time? If I haven't heard from them then, I'll call them. I let them tell me that. I just learned that the harder you push, the more resistant they are, and the more problems you have even after you have a deal. If I push hard, I may get them to agree, but they may not like me in the morning, and I may have problems. I'd rather just... See, when you're in this business, and you're out here creating solutions, you ain't got no competition. I'm not in that big a rush. It ain't like when I'm trying to steal junkers. Better move quick when you're stealing junkers. But in this business, you ain't got no competition because there ain't nobody you know with enough smarts to do this. So I'm not worried about it as near as much. You should have the following information before setting an appointment: the seller's name, address, and phone number. Where did you see your? It's very important that you know where the seller got your name or number from, so that you can track your marketing efforts. You must track your marketing efforts, or you won't know where to spend the money. You won't know what's working and what's not working. Asking price, loan balance, payment and type, the condition of the house, the approximate value of the house, the approximate square footage, the number of bedrooms and baths, and the special amenities. How long is it going to take you to get all that information? 2-3 minutes. 5 tops. A clear idea in your mind of how you intend to structure offers based on the information provided. If you look later on in your course, you'll see that the information sheet that we actually fill out when we're talking to sellers is included. Okay. When I'm dealing with individuals, and again, I will emphasize, not when I'm dealing with banks. When I'm dealing with banks, what kind of offer do I make? Cash offer. When I'm dealing with individuals, though, I've learned to construct multiple offers. And here's what I've learned over the years, and nobody taught me this. I learned it on my own. When I can go into a seller's home and I can construct several choices, give them 2 or 3 ways that I can buy their house, it increases my chances of buying their house many times if I just go in with one offer that I like, but they may not like. I've discovered that when I am talking to an individual, what they're thinking up here may not be what's coming out of their mouth. I've discovered that if I give them 3 choices, and all I do is take a yellow pad, and I write it right on the pad. Offer number 1. It's usually a cash offer. Oh, it's low. In fact, it's embarrassing. Offer number 2 is usually a split-funded offer, perhaps, if they have a lot of equity, where I'll give them some down and the balance of their money in a short period of time. And then offer 3 is a much higher price offer, but involves monthly payments and a small down payment. So you see, if cash is their motivation, I might have hit their hot button. If price is their motivation, I'll hit it with the owner financing. If they need more cash, a little higher price, but they need some cash now, then they might take the middle, or we might strike some happy medium. I've learned that when I write down 3 offers like that, and I hand them the yellow pad, and I let them decide, Carol, here's 3 ways that I might be able to buy your house. If you'll take a look at them, pick out the one that suits you best, we'll work toward that one. Carol will spend so much time trying to figure out which offer she wants, it never occurs to her she don't have to take any of them. Now think about it. All this time, she ain't even had an offer. Now I come in, she's got 3 to pick from. It increases my chances of winning tremendously by giving Carol a choice. Folks, I will buy 80% of the houses that I visit after I've pre-screened them over the telephone. Because I learned to give them a choice. And I will adjust the choice any way I need to adjust it to make them happy with it if it suits my needs. Everybody clear on that? It works. I got realtors all over this country doing the same thing. Coaxing their buyers to give them a choice. Because it works. Let's look at some multiple offers. All cash. Now, do not attempt to formulate an all-cash offer on a property until you have been through the wholesale retail module, where you will learn how I go about constructing all-cash offers. Small down payment with long-term financing. This is an ideal offer to set up non-qualifying financing for your buyer. This offer will usually be the highest price in exchange for good terms. In fact, it can be at or near retail price and still make sense. The seller must have a considerable equity and not need all the cash. Several offers can be constructed by adjusting the down payment and the terms. Listen closely for the seller's needs. You know, one of the biggest problems I had when I first started in this business? One of the biggest problems I had was I couldn't shut up long enough to listen. And I bet some of you have that problem too. I always wanted to impress my infinite wisdom on the seller. And I was thinking so far ahead of them how I was going to outsmart them. I found myself not even listening to what they were saying half the time, and it cost me a lot of deals. And the older I got, the more I did it, I realized that the more I listened and the more I tried to create offers based on their needs instead of my needs, that the more deals I got done and the better they liked me after I was through. I have no idea how many times I went in and I bought houses that investors beat me to the punch, but they didn't listen. I remember one time I went in to buy a house from a lady, and she needed $2,000 to bail her son out of jail. No, $3,000 to bail her son out of jail. And an investor went in and made her an offer with $1,000 down. Did that solve her problem? No. I bought the house for $20,000 less than he offered her by simply giving her $3,000 down that she requested. I listened. By the way, if I remember right, I made $22,000 on that deal after somebody else beat me to it. If you take time to analyze their needs and try to structure offers around their needs, you'll accomplish more. Now, when I'm making 3 offers, understand that I know that one or more of those offers is not even going to be remotely interested to that seller. I usually know that the cash offer is going to downright insult them. Do you know what? Every single time I think I got it figured out which offer the seller's going to take, they take the exact opposite one. And the more I did that, the more I realized, I ain't so smart after all. Maybe I don't even know what they want. Maybe they don't even know what they want until they get a chance to pick it and decide. So, when they say, I ain't going to sell this house for that amount of money, I say, well, you know what? I agree with you. Let's take a look at this one where I give you this higher price, but ask you to take back the equity in installments. Well, I don't want to take all my money back in installments. I need more money down. Okay, I don't blame you. Let's look at this middle one here, where you get more cash now, and if you'll just wait a little while on your money, you'll get the rest of it, but you'll get less than the owner financing, but you'll get more than if I pay you all cash at closing. And I'll work it. If I can find some happy medium, I'll structure the offer to suit the seller's needs. But by giving them a choice, it keeps them in the game. So don't forget to do that. It works. Now, I'm not writing up 3 contracts, understand. I'm just writing the numbers out on a pad so they can see them. I don't write a contract till they're ready to sign it. In cases where the equity is small and the debt is high, your offer will be to take over the debt without assuming. Sometimes the seller will get some cash and sometimes none.
If they accept one.
If they accept one, okay, you want to go through that. Is that it? You want to be that seller, okay? You ready? There you go. What's your name?
Tony.
Tony. Okay, well, Tony, which offer do you like best? All right, talk loud and...
I like the middle one.
Okay. You like the middle one, okay? So is there anything else we need to do before we get this thing written up and proceed to closing?
Well, once you write it up, I'd like to have my attorney look at it.
Oh, you want to have your attorney look at it? What are you trying to get your attorney to accomplish? You want to find out if the contract is legal or if the numbers suit your needs? What is it you want your attorney to tell you?
Well, I just want to make sure it's all, legal and legit.
So in other words, if we have a contract that's all legal, we're ready to go.
Yes.
Okay? Well, let me give you the contract, and you take it to your attorney, and when he says it's legal, we'll get back together, and I'll fill in the blanks for you, Tony. How long do you think that'll take you?
Well, the main thing is I want to understand what you're doing if you're writing up the contract.
Well, Tony, here's the offers right here.
Right, but
when it says you're going to get $40,000 with 5 down, the rest within 6 months.
Okay,
that's pretty much it.
Right, and that's what I agreed to. I got no problem with it.
Right.
But I just would like to, look at the whole contract when you write it out so that we can go through it and make sure that I understand every clause.
Tony, this is the whole contract. We'll fill in the blanks when your attorney says it's the kind we should use.
Okay.
The blanks are going to say this, Tony. They're going to say you're going to get $5,000 and $35,000 within 6 months. It says you're going to pay your share of closing costs and I'm going to pay mine. It says we're going to close whenever you're ready. Okay? Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, you still want to take it to your attorney?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. When you want me to call you? Better yet, you call me when you get out of your attorney's office, will you?
All right.
All right. Good. If he wants to take it to his attorney, let him. Who cares? By the way, if your attorney says something wrong with the deal, tell him to buy it.
Ron?
Yeah.
Why won't you fill out the blanks?
Because I don't want them shopping my contract, and I don't want their brother-in-law scrutinizing it. That's why. I'm not going to leave them a filled-out contract. Okay? If they want to take it to the attorney, let them take it to the attorney. Again, does your attorney want to look at the numbers, or does he want to look at the contract? By the way, I never use the word contract in front of a seller. I use the word agreement. I never sign a contract. I okay the paperwork. Is that better? Huh? Less intimidating. Absolutely. Get the word contract out of your vocabulary. Scares people. Okay? Okay the paperwork. If the attorney wants to look at the paperwork, he's checking it to see if it's a good agreement. You don't need the blanks filled in to do that.
What if you want them to check the numbers?
Here's the deal. By the way, Tony, if you want, you can have your attorney fill in the blanks. I don't care. Are you kidding? Where do you think most people go get their advice on what they ought to take for their house? From their attorney, like he knows. Huh?
But really,
No, it's not against the law. No, it's not against the law.
I thought he could just check the
No,
validity of
his job is to check the validity of the agreement to see if there's any problems that his client should be aware of. Now, what's the only problem that his client should be even concerned about? Is the price enough? And that's not an attorney's decision. And I'm not going to let him go shopping my contract around. I'm not going to let them take it to their brother-in-law. If they want to go shop the contract, let them go shop a blank one. I'll leave them the blank one.
Okay, suppose you already filled it out and everything. And,
I haven't already filled it out.
No, but I'm
because
saying.
I point blank ask him, are we ready to go?
Okay, yeah, we ready to
Yeah.
go. And then you get done,
Uh-huh.
and he just won't sign until after he does
Okay.
that.
You want to play that game, huh, Lou? You're forgetting who's in control here, Lou. Here's the contract that I'm trying to get you to sign. Right? All right, and here's a blank one. Right? Lou, are you telling me you want to take this and shop it with your attorney?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I just want to get
Okay.
checked out.
I'll tell you what. It's my company policy that I don't ever let an agreement that is completed get out of my hands because past experience has taught me that if it gets in the wrong hands, it creates a problem for me. If you want your attorney to see it, you take this blank one and you let your attorney see it, and if he finds anything wrong there, let me know and we'll correct it. Huh?
Okay.
And this baby's going in my briefcase before I finish my statement. You ain't even going to get a chance to. You ain't taking this to your attorney. Okay? If you want your attorney to look at it, go let him fill out one. That don't mean I'm going to sign it, but let him go fill out one. By the way, you're always better off filling out your own agreements. Okay? If their attorney gets a hold of it, you're going to have a whole lot of crap in there you probably don't want. And incidentally, is he going to put a due on sale clause in it? You bet. Okay? However, do I have to buy this house? If I run across this snag and I got to go overdo this attorney crap, and I've got a problem seller on my hands here, it's going to come down to a point pretty soon where is, look, we going to do this deal or not? You know, I'm not going to play this game. I told you what I can do and I told you what I can't do, and we're going to have to do it, or I just don't have time to work on this house anymore. I got a lot of people out there that I've got to go see and see if I can create a solution for. And if you got the right buying machine cranked up, shouldn't that be the absolute truth? You should always have more people to go and see than you can go see. If you don't, you need to crank up the buying machine heavier, stronger, because you're not getting enough leads coming in. Now, if you're serious about this business, you'll always have more leads to process than you can handle. Don't ever shut down the buying machine. No matter how many leads you got. Crank up your pre-screening efforts. Crank up your offer-making efforts. Don't ever stop the buying machine. You can't get too many leads coming in. Just about the time you shut down that buying machine, you're going to miss a deal that will make you $50,000. The day after you cancel that ad is the day that seller was going to call you. And the saddest part about it is you never knew you missed it. All right, offer number one could be an offer again where we all cash. Offer number two could be seller financing with small down. You could create another offer where you can give. Could you trade an existing mortgage that you've taken back on another property into the property you're trying to buy. If I had a $20,000 note that I'm collecting payments on of $200 a month, could I offer that to my seller for $20,000 of their equity? Absolutely. In fact, would not they be smarter to take my note in addition to their note? Now they've got two pieces of collateral, two payment streams. If one stops, the other may continue. In fact, when you get out here in the world of owner financing and you start taking back paper, can't you exchange that paper for free and clear property? Yep. Folks, you're not going to have any trouble at all exchanging income streams for houses. Let's say I've got 5 $20,000 notes. Now, that ain't going to happen, okay, because that's just too big of a coincidence. Could I not take those 5 $20,000 notes, and let's say they're all paying $200 each, times 5 equals $1,000 a month. Could I not take those $20,000 notes and offer them to a seller with $100,000 worth of equity in a property, and have, if let's say the house is $100,000, could I not exchange those notes for that entire property and get the property free and clear? Is that any different than offering this seller a note on his property? Would you rather have one $1,000 payment coming in every month secured by a 98% loan-to-value loan on your property? Or would you rather have 5 $200 a month payment coming in secured by probably much lower loan-to-value loans on 5 different properties with 5 different payers with the chances of default on all of them slim to none? Would you rather have all your income cut off or only one piece of it? Hello? Would you rather have 5 payers out here with 5 different houses with an opportunity for them to sell 5 different times and get you chunks of cash in $20,000 pops? Or would you rather have one $100,000 note waiting for somebody else to sell until you get paid off? The advantages to the seller are tremendous. It is not difficult to change notes that you're collecting now for equity and property. It's to their advantage to do so. There's all kinds of neat things you can do out here in the world of seller financing, especially when you create incoming payment streams. For example, you can even use them to buy motorhomes with. I got a free and clear $30,000 motorhome. It's a 30-foot Southwind. I traded $30,000 worth of little old teeny second mortgages I took back on property. 5 of them it took to make the $30,000. Total payments coming in $450. I traded those second mortgages for that motorhome free and clear. Stupid thing to do. I owned that motorhome for 5 years. I even drove it twice. Paying insurance on it and tag on it every single year. Gave up $450 worth of income to own a motorhome. Well, I had one once. Drove it. I kept it for 5 years and sold it for $12,500. I don't even want to compute how many payments this guy got from the mortgages over a 5-year period. Everybody should own a motorhome. Once. It's just like that boat I used to have. Once. But if you're going to own a motorhome, why not get a free one? Can you take paper and exchange it for cars? Can you exchange it for real estate? Yes. Can you exchange it for any commodity you need in life? Yes. Well, let me ask you a question. If you're going to exchange paper for other kinds of products and services, would you rather exchange paper that you have money invested in, or would you rather exchange free paper? Free paper. I like that. Did I get my motorhome for free? I'd not had 1 red cent in any of those mortgages that I traded for that motorhome. In fact, I made money on every one of those houses. So I literally got the motorhome for free. I ran an ad in the paper one day specifically saying, I want to trade real estate for a motorhome. Something came over me. I had to have a motorhome. And this guy called me and says, I got a motorhome. I said, good, I got real estate. And then I realized he didn't really want real estate. What he really wanted was an income stream. And then it hit me. Well, I got some of them. So I traded him. Again, you may now jump into the lease option mode. That may be one of your offers. Even when you're trying to get seller financing, you may make a lease option offer one of those offers that you present to the seller, or an option offer, which will be discussed in the lease option mode. Always know the back door before you go in the front door, ladies and gentlemen. You never want to make an offer on a property until you know exactly what you will do with it if it gets accepted. Now, we work very diligently on that in our for sale by owner module and in our 2-day live training. We plot our back doors before we ever dream of going in the front doors. Yes.
Insurance on lease option properties. When you're getting the lease option from your seller, you're asking him to name you as additionally insured on the insurance policy.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
How do they go about doing that?
Call up the insurance company. Would you please name Ron LeGrand as additional insured? Thank you.
Does that?
That's it.
Okay, the one guy that I did it with, he thought it would trigger the bank and the due on sale clause.
Well, it doesn't. You just have to say, look, you haven't transferred title. It can't trigger the due on sale.
Okay. Very good. Thanks.
Okay. When your oral offer is accepted, immediately proceed to a written agreement. I'm not going to go into that now, but there is a section of this module that goes into writing agreements, and it has the agreements included with it. If in cases where the seller is ready to leave and wants little or no money, get a deed signed and notarized on the spot. Do not let a seller leave town without giving you the property. Anytime a seller wants to give you a house, I'm going to suggest you take it. As long as you don't take it in your own name, you take it into a trust, and there's no way you can lose. If the property is in foreclosure, check your state law concerning title problems that may occur if the loan is not brought current at the time of transfer. An example, in the state of Florida, if the property is in foreclosure, that means the foreclosure has been filed, and the seller deeds me the property without bringing it out of foreclosure, the deed is virtually worthless because there's a title problem there. If I take a deed, if it's already in foreclosure, the foreclosure must be cured at the time I take title, or I don't have good title. And there are several other states with that same problem, so beware of that if that's the case in your state. And you should always be aware of any disclosure statements your state requires and be prepared with blank copies. In California, you got some disclosure statements that have to be signed no matter whether you're buying or selling, and in several other states. Just get them signed. It ain't no big deal. Don't worry about it. Just get them signed. It's the same old disclosures everybody else has to sign.
When you said, hello. When you said that, you mean just do it the same day, or
what? The deed?
You said you have to cure the.
Yes, in the state of Florida, if the property is in foreclosure,
is that
at the same time you have a closing, the foreclosure must be stopped, which means the payments have to be brought current.
Like the same day or the same week?
No, at the same time you buy the house, the same day, not the same week. If you take title and then later go stop the foreclosure, you don't have good title.
Is that nationwide?
No, it's Florida.
Florida.
There's several states like that, though.
So go the same day and cure the thing, in other
No.
words.
You have to bring the money to the closing to make up the back payments. The closing agent will then stop the foreclosure with that money. So it has to be done all at the same time. When the offer is accepted by the sellers, have the title checked by your closing agent. The first thing you do, anytime you get a signed contract, no matter what portion of this business you're doing, is to check the title. Start running ads. As soon as you find out your title's good, you can start running ads to attract potential buyers who probably can't qualify for bank financing. Now, of course, this is assuming that the house is vacant or will be vacant very shortly. Now, you're looking for buyers with weak credit they're self-employed, that may not have good job stability, or that may have a debt ratio a little too high, or can't prove their income to suit the lender's needs, or possibly they're in bankruptcy. There's all kinds of reasons that people can't qualify for loans, and along the way you're going to run across a bunch of people to buy houses from you that can qualify for loans. They just don't want to go through that nonsense, or they want occupancy of a property now. In fact, they're your ideal buyers. Why? Because they got good credit? Nope, that don't have nothing to do with it, in my opinion. Why are they ideal you buy? Well, it does in a way. Because the fact that they have good credit means that they can go refinance anytime they like. And what does that mean to you in your mind? Oh, big payday. Hey, Ray, time to discount, pal. Big payday. Big payday. I want them to refinance if they can.
Ron, I have a question.
Yes.
If the house is in foreclosure, is there a point, like, and it still makes sense to buy it, is there a point where they will not let you bring out a foreclosure to the bank?
Yes.
A lot of times?
Yes. Usually just before the sale.
So it could be like, it could still be 8 or 10 months behind, and they might still be okay, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
If
it's 8 or 10 months behind, I'd say your chances of creating some no qualifying financing are slim to none, though. Why?
Okay.
Because you can't get in light.
Yeah, too much upfront money.
Yeah, you can't get in light. Build a buyer's list from this ad. It'll become your most important asset very quickly. Soon you'll be looking for houses where you have buyers with large chunks of money. You mean to tell me we can find the buyers first and then go look for the houses? Sounds reasonable to me. I got me a whole list of buyers here with big old chunks of money. And I know where they want to live because I ran an ad in a house for a house in that area. I got me a whole bunch of buyers that want to live in that general vicinity. Man, $20, $30, $40, $50,000. Where do you think I ought to be focusing my buying machine? If I got me a stack of buyers with a whole heap of money, I'm going to plummet that area with flyers and ads and postcards till they can't stand me no more. Because I want to go where my buyers want to live, the ones that have the money. Now, let me tell you something else about this business and buyers. When you're the person who can provide these folks with no qualifying financing, do you have to worry too much about losing them? They stick to you like glue. Hey, Ron, you got me a house yet? No, Mary, but I'm still looking. You got any more money yet? No. I'm still looking, Mary. You see, you're the only way they're going to get a house. So they're going to hang around till you do. Is that true for people who can qualify for loans? No. They're going to go to the next house very quickly. You better find them something or they're gone. But boy, when they can't qualify, you are their knight in shining armor.
Ron, I have a question.
All right, let me go over here and take Ray's question first, and then we're going to start limiting these so we can get done here today.
You don't have a house in the area yet.
I don't have a house in the area. I had one, or I wouldn't have run the ad to attract the buyers to begin with.
Oh, you first have to have some house in that area.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to, but I mean, I don't see any sense in building a buyer's list when I ain't got nothing to sell them. That seems like kind of waste to me. Let's wait till we get something under contract, then we'll find a bunch of buyers. All right. And if I got a whole bunch of buyers, I see you can run your ad, and if your ad's in a nice subdivision which everybody will recognize, you may put that subdivision in your ad, you may not. Let's say the subdivision is in the southeast side of the city. I'll just put southeast, lovely area. That way I know everybody who calls wants to live in the southeast. So I find houses in the southeast. Who else had a question?
You mentioned the 3 different offers. If the property was listed with a realtor and it was priced reasonable, how would you approach them? For one, I know you couldn't probably get in light because of the commission, but what about with the low cash offer, and then if you wanted to do a split funding, how could you? Because realtors usually have one way of thinking, you know.
That's right, and I told you that's why I prefer not to deal with them.
So would you, if you knew of a property, would you even approach it with 2 different offers?
Yeah, I make offers, 2 or 3 different offers through realtors sometimes, but I'm telling you, I don't go looking for houses that are listed to do owner financing deals with. I really don't. Now, if they're brought to me, if realtors call me because they think the owner will finance, it might work with them. But I'm telling you, I just don't go looking for them. There's just too much other business out there. And if you can work where it's easy, why go where it's hard? And working with realtors where there's anything creative involved is hard. Now, I don't have anything against realtors. I really don't. But it's not my job and my goal in life to educate them all either. Well, it is, too, come to think about it, if they come to my class. But not out in the real world. When I first started in this business, I tried that. I tried to educate everybody I ever ran across. I just couldn't flap my lips fast enough. But then I realized, God, they don't want to know this. Why am I trying to teach them? The best thing I can do is shut up. I'm talking myself right out of deals here. Took me about 4 years to figure that out. Keywords for your ads to sell. Folks, if you got a house that you can pass on with no qualifying, those are your keywords. No qualifying or owner financing. You put those in the ad, you ain't got to worry about the phone ringing. That's complicated, isn't it? You put those words in your ad, your phone will ring. No qualifying or owner financing or both. Okay? But here's some ingredients you ought to have in your ad. Number one, I always put the area in my ad. That could be the subdivision or that could be just a general area. I always put the square footage if it's big. If it's little, I don't put it. You never want to dramatize the negatives. I mean, if the house only got 750 square feet in it, that's not something I want to broadcast. Not something I'm going to be selling either, but good example. Number of bedrooms and baths. All buyers want to know that. I put that in all my ads. 3/2, 4/2, or whatever. However, if it's a one bath house, I just put the number of bedrooms. If it's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, I put 3 bed. Period. Okay? Payment and price. I either put the payment or the price. I prefer to put the price because I can adjust the payment. Sometimes you're going to get sellers who would prefer to have a higher payment for a shorter payoff because it saves them interest. I love that. I think that's a great idea when I'm selling. So I'll adjust the payment to their taste. Sometimes I can adjust the payment downward for a whole big old chunk of money up front. So whatever it takes. So the price, however, I kind of like to put in. Now, if I advertise the price, it's going to be hard for me to raise it when I meet the seller face to face, the buyer face to face. So maybe I better make sure that I get a price in there that I don't have to worry about raising. What do you think? Yes. And the higher price range you're in, the less you've got to worry about pricing a property over what it'll appraise for. Because the higher price range you're in, the harder it is to determine the market value of the house. Anytime you get above 100, it's a lot harder to determine the market value of the house. If you get 50, they all look alike. They're all the same price. It's easy to determine. Your buyers know what the house is worth. You get above 100, and it doesn't take much of a variance to create a big difference in price. A lot harder. So therefore, if you're dealing in the higher price houses, you ain't got a problem selling a house $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 more than what you think it'll appraise for. And the ad in the paper will not deter anybody from calling you because they don't have a clue what the house is worth. How could they? They don't even know where it is yet. Okay, special amenities. If it's got a pool, don't you think that'd be something you'd want to put in the paper? Yes. Our finished basement, our 2-car garage. If it's got a 2-car garage, I always put that in there. 2-car gar. Large lot, I want that. And if there's any other kind of amenities that are special, I want that. Or if it's just a gorgeous, well-landscaped property, I'll put gorgeous lot. Something like that. Okay? Be careful with abbreviations, folks. Don't assume that the public knows what these abbreviations mean. I've seen some ads that I couldn't decipher with a decoding machine. I don't have a clue what they're talking about, and I'm in the business. And People know a lot less than you think they do about those abbreviations. Be very careful with them. I've had people didn't know what CH&A means. Do you? It means Central Heat and Air. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything. I've had people that don't know what 3/2 means. It means 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. I can see some of you out there. Oh, God, what does it mean? Okay. When your callers start calling you, your buyers start calling you, you got to pre-screen all of them. And that's really not complicated. That only takes a few minutes. Get a buyer sheet on all who have reasonable sums of cash, then send them to look at the house from the outside, looking in if vacant. Always leave the windows so that the buyer can look through the windows. It always amazes me why people will get a house all prettied up and gussied up and close it up like a tomb so nobody can see it. They got to be able to look through the windows. If they don't look through the windows, that means that there's no way they're going to see the inside. There's no way you're going to get a commitment or strong interest from them. So get the house visible. Leave the shades open. If the house is still occupied, obviously, you can't tell them to look through the windows. They might get shot. You have to tell them that it's occupied, but it'll be vacant shortly. Just go ride by, see if you like it. If you like it, I'll get you inside. Okay? Now, I never, ever, ever, ever go to a house with a buyer before they tell me they would like to have it based on their inspection of the inside. You ain't got time to go chasing down showing houses to people that say they're interested. That's what realtors do. Let them. Okay? I want to pre-qualify my buyers. When I show them the house, man, they're ready to write a check and give me a agreement signed on the spot if they like what they see inside. When they call you back, and they'll call you back after they visited the property. And folks, picture this now. I'm showing properties that are lovely in nice areas with no qualifying financing, with reasonable payments. How many people do you think I have to show the house to before one's going to want it? Is this one of them deals where I got to parade 25 buyers out there to see it? I'm going to be amazed if 3 people don't look at it and 2 of them are beating my brains out to buy it. Because if that's not the case, there's something wrong with the house, the payment's too high, or the area's crappy, or you're asking way too much down. Because again, folks who can't qualify for a loan don't have a whole lot to choose from. They're not near as picky as those who can. If you got a gorgeous house in a gorgeous area, you ain't got to worry about selling it. I tell you that right now. You got to worry about fending off the onslaught. So I ain't going to go to too much effort here to show these houses. They got to almost tell me they want it, and sometimes they do. Oh, you'll be amazed. You send people out there. I get calls back. Oh, I want that house. I want that house. Where can we meet? Well, you haven't seen the inside yet. I don't need to. People who can't qualify for loans, who see a gorgeous house in a gorgeous area, recognize an opportunity when they see it. Are you providing them with a rare opportunity? Are you? Okay. You should feel proud that you're in a position to do that, because you are in fact providing them with an opportunity they can't get anywhere else. Now, don't you just feel like a upstanding American citizen knowing that? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, you're doing your duty to mankind by supplying fair housing to the public. Yeah.
Ron.
You're too tired to give a hoot right now, ain't you? Okay. Who has a question over here? Who picked up the mic?
Speaking of that,
okay, Chris got
the people, wanting to buy the house without even seeing it. We did sell one.
Well, without seeing the inside.
Yeah, we sold one. It had some occupants in it.
Yeah.
And they were tenants of this guy. He was renting the house and didn't want it anymore, and we took it with a lease option.
Yeah.
And those people were still in the house, and these people gave us, a $2,000 down payment, and they were going to pay another $1,000 before they even seen the inside.
Yeah?
They didn't.
Yeah, it's amazing what people will do to get pretty houses when they don't have to qualify at banks, because they know it ain't easy. Question?
You said potentially asking too much money down as being a inhibitor to somebody buying, even though you're offering non-qualifying. Do you have a rule of thumb as far as a percentage that would be
I
reasonable?
think once you get over the 10% point, you're going to slow down your sales process. $150,000 house, once you get over $15,000 down. I didn't say stop now. I said slow down. Okay? I got no problem at all you asking $20,000, $25,000 down on a $150,000 house, but just understand it might take you a little while longer to sell it. Okay? $20,000 down on a $200,000 house, piece of cake. I don't know where they'd ever expect to get one any cheaper, but when you start asking $35,000, $40,000, going to take you longer to sell it. Okay? 10% down you should have no problem getting.
You qualify.
Oh, I absolutely qualify them. I'm getting to that. In fact, that's right here. When interested parties call you back and want to see the inside, capture the following information after making an appointment. Now, I said after making an appointment, not after going to show them the house. Okay? I want their address. I want their Social Security, and I want their spouse's name and their Social Security. I want the gross family income, the birth dates, and their employers. Now, why do I want all that information? Because of one of several things that's going to happen next. If I'm seriously in this business, and I'm doing this very often, I should be a member of the credit bureau, and I am, and so should you be. You should either have the availability to pull up a credit report, which costs you very little, have it $35, $40 a month to be in that service, or you should be able to pick up the phone and call a credit bureau and have them do it for you orally. If you choose not to do any of the above, you have several other choices. One of them being you can have the buyer go pull their own credit report and bring it to you. If you're going to sell somebody a house and take back a mortgage, don't you ever do it without pulling a credit report. Some way, shape, or form. Okay? What you're looking for is not good credit. What you're looking for is the ability to pay, and you're trying to weed out real scumbags. If you pull up a credit report and it's got a foreclosure and 2 evictions on it, do you think maybe it's time to put on the brakes? If you pull up a credit report that's got a bankruptcy on it, is that a problem? Folks, I'd just soon my buyers were all bankrupt. I'm their only debt. I don't have to worry about getting paid. If they ain't up to their eyeballs in credit cards and stores and all that kind of stuff, I'm the only one they got to worry about, with a few exceptions. I don't care if they're bankrupt. What I'm looking for is the ability to pay more than anything else. Therefore, I must know their gross income, and when I pull a credit report, I'll be able to know what their debts are. If their debts are higher than about 30% of their if their debts combined with their payment are higher than about 50% of their gross income, I'm going to have a problem collecting, and I know it.
Ron?
Yes?
Don't they have to sign something before you pull out their credit?
I'm so glad you brought that up. He says, can I pull their credit report without their written permission? The answer is yes, as long as I have their permission. It does not have to be written. If I have their Social Security number and all the information that I just put up there on the board, it is assumed that I have been given permission. Therefore, if I pull their credit report, I better keep something on file so that I can answer the question as to why I pulled it if I get called down on it. It is illegal to pull a credit report without their information, without their permission, ladies and gentlemen. You should know that. But they can give you that permission on the telephone. Incidentally, if somebody pulls your credit report without permission, it is just as illegal. And it usually will result in a $5,000 settlement in your favor. How do I know what? Every credit report that you pull has recent inquiries on your credit report. You know who pulled it. Be careful now. If you have a bank that you owe money to, they have the right to pull your credit report anytime they want to. Anybody you owe money to has the right to pull it at their discretion. But if you got inquiries on there that you don't have a clue where they came from, it's up to you to inquire where they came from. Now, if I pull this individual's credit report and I can show that I pulled it, I have this application in front of me that I filled out over the telephone, and he was trying to buy this house, that's the end of that deal. Okay? I don't worry about that. All right. Okay. Let's say I pull a credit report and I find out that they're not a scumbag. I'll simply keep my appointment. I pull a credit report and I find out they are a scumbag. I call them up on the phone. I say, Lou, you didn't tell me you was a scumbag. You forgot to tell me. Lou, you forgot to tell me about that foreclosure you had last year and those 2 evictions since. No sense of keeping the appointment, Lou. I can't help you. Okay?
Some potential buyers will confuse non-qualifying and want to know, well, why did you pull a credit report if it was non-qualifying?
Good question. You pull their credit report when your ad says non-qualifying. My response is, I'm not going to qualify you. I'm just checking to see if you have the ability to make the payments. Okay? And that is my right as a seller. Is that a problem? Is that a problem? Who says it's a problem? If that's a problem, maybe you ought to get your rump down the street and see if you can find somebody else's house you can buy without going down to the bank. Because if we got a problem, because I'm pulling your credit report, if we got a problem at this point and you don't even know my house yet, I can imagine what kind of problems we're going to have when I try to collect my payments. In fact, if we got a problem with this kind of buyer, it's time to cut this relationship right now. Especially when you got a lot more right behind them who'd love to have this house. Folks, when I'm dealing with buyers who can't qualify anywhere else but me, I don't take their garbage. I just don't. And if I find myself getting on the defensive here, I quickly slap myself. Wake up, man. You don't have to put up with this crap. You better get these people out of here because they're going to be a problem. And I don't need no problems. The truth is, the buyers are going to sit there and they're going to try to explain to me why they should have the right to buy my house. And if that's not the attitude that they've got, it's probably not the right people that I want in there. I want people that are excited about buying this house. Most of them are. Excited about the opportunity. There's no way they're going to get me to crawl up in the corner in a fetal position and defend myself because I own a house. Not going to happen. Who had a question over here? Okay, go ahead and get that one right there.
You said that if their debt plus their payment is 50% or more of their gross income?
No, 50% or more, yeah, of their gross income. Family gross income.
Then you just automatically write them off.
I don't automatically write them off, but I want to know if there's more income that ain't showing up here that they haven't told me about. And I want to know if any of this debt is going to get paid off real shortly. Okay? I'm telling you from experience, there's a reason why the banks won't approve anything over 41%. Because statistics show that it takes more than that to survive, and if your debts are higher than that, you're going to have a problem. I'll go 50% or so. But frankly, if I got a buyer who's going to be making me a $1,500 a month payment, and their total gross income is $3,000, I got a problem here. I ain't going to get into this trap because I'm just setting myself up for a problem later, and I know it. I'd rather pass and wait for the next buyer, who's probably right outside my door or as close as a phone call away. So I'm not looking to pre-screen the heck out of them, but I am going to find out if their income will justify the debt, and that's really what I tell them. I say, really, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not all that concerned about your credit. I am concerned about your ability to pay, and I reserve the right to check that, and if that's a problem for you, maybe this ain't the house for you. Okay? Let's go on. When you find a buyer you like, you prepare a sales agreement and you get as large a deposit as possible. The minimum is $1,000. Incidentally, I don't tell them what I need. I do it like this. I say, Lou, we're going to go ahead and get the agreement okayed so that I can set it up for closing. I need a binder deposit from you. What's the most you can give me today? You don't have to answer. Go ahead. What's the most you can give me today? I'm telling you, if he's going to put $15,000 down on the house, he says, "Well, I got the $15,000." I said, "Okay." That's a good binder. I'm telling you, folks, I'm not even going to smile now. I got to keep a straight face and just take the $15,000. And I say, "Well, this is business as usual." The more money you get from the buyer, the more you know you ain't going to have a problem. But the least is $1,000. Lou says, "Well, I don't know. What's customary?" I say, "Well, it's customary that I get it all."
You say that?
Yeah, I say that all the time. Yeah, and I usually get resistance on that, you know. But when I'm asking it for all of it, I tell you right now, I get more than 1,000 at their discretion. Well, what if I give you half? Well, let me think. Okay, we'll settle for half. All right, you got an agreement. It's just a matter of setting it up for closing as soon as your seller's ready to get out. If they're not already out and your buyer's ready to buy, believe me, your buyer usually wants to get in right away. Instruct your buyer to get insurance now. They have to have insurance. Don't ever let them close unless they've got a paid-up policy. I want them to pay 1 year policy in advance. And I want to name me as the insured. And then I want to escrow for taxes and insurance. So you need to write that in the contract. I want escrow for taxes and insurance. Okay? Now, in order for me to escrow for taxes and insurance, they have to pay a year's insurance in advance in order for me to escrow. Because when I'm collecting payments this year for insurance, I'm actually collecting for next year's premiums. Just like you do when you go down and close the loan. So I have to explain that to them. And none of them understand that. You have to explain that to them. Same. Well, taxes, you just know. In taxes, I don't have them come up with any money up front. I just collect monthly for taxes, and when there's enough money in the escrow account, I pay the tax bill. I don't pay it, because I'll tell you right now, I don't collect payments. I have an escrow agent collect payments. In fact, would you like the phone number of an escrow agent who can collect payments for you no matter where you live? He happens to be here in Jacksonville. He'll be at our conference at the end of June. The name of the company is G&K Realty. G&K Realty. Their phone number is 355-4549. G&K Realty. They collect payments. They do all the work. They send out the statements. It costs $10 a month to collect the payments. And who pays that? Your buyer. You put it right in the note.
You say he does this anywhere in the country?
Anywhere in the country. As long as it's a debt instrument. Now, he ain't going to collect no rents. As long as it's some kind of a debt instrument. Land contract, agreement for deed, whatever. All right. Let's talk about the most common mistakes when you're buying. Trying to deal with unmotivated sellers and unscreened sellers. That'll slay you, that'll put you out of business, that'll put you down like a dead dog. You cannot spend time with people who don't want to sell bad enough to do anything about it. You got to pre-screen them quickly and get rid of the unmotivated sellers. You get a seller too much down payment just to get the deal done. That's a mistake you're probably going to wind up doing sooner or later. You want to get the deal done, so you put up more than you really know you should. And that's not the end of the world. What the heck? Even if you put a down payment and you sold the house and that's all you could get back up front was the same amount of down payment, is that all that bad? If you create a monthly spread in the back end, so what? You'll get better. And sometimes it makes sense to break even on the front end to get a big back end or to get a big monthly. You're working with two lower priced properties. I've pounded that one to death. You'll figure it out sooner or later. You can make more money with the higher priced properties in this part of the business. Why mess with the cheap stuff? Not only do you make more money, you get better clientele, you get less grief. Buying houses that need several $1,000s in repairs and then expecting to sell as a handyman special and get a large down payment. There's a trap. If somebody were to sell you a house that needed $5,000 worth of work, and you knew that you could turn right around and sell it as a handyman special and take back a mortgage on it. Now, you can do that all the time. If it needs cosmetic work, you can buy it. In fact, it gives you the opportunity to create a great deal with the seller because it needs cosmetic work. You can get low payments long term because it needs work. However, if you go into that assuming that you're going to go get a big down payment from the buyer and then expect them to come up with money to repair it, you're going to a seminar, because your buyer is going to want to spend money on the house and as little as possible on you. You can't expect to get as big a down payment on a house that needs work as you can on one that is in pristine condition. So make sure you take that in consideration when you're structuring your back door. Another mistake is taking title in your own name and guaranteeing notes personally. Refer to the land trust tape in this module and we will prevent that from happening. Buying a house with some sort of inadequacies that prevent a fast sale. Example, it could be located in a commercial area, or it could be an extremely small house, or the area has industrial odors, or it's functionally obsolete. What does functionally obsolete mean? It means that the house just has such a crappy layout that it's just totally obsolete. For instance, if you have to go through a bedroom to get to a bathroom, or if you have a bedroom off of a kitchen, or if you have to go from one bedroom to another and there's no other way but to go through one to get to the other, you have a functionally obsolete layout. Now, many times that can be cured when you're in the business of doing repairs, but when we're creating seller financing, are we in the business of doing repairs? No. If it's got a functionally obsolete layout, just pass. That would be my suggestion, because it's going to be very difficult to sell it. Not working hard enough to get the payments on seller financing as low as possible. Folks, it's between you and the seller. If you don't negotiate as low a payments as possible, you got nobody to blame but yourself, and you'll regret it for a long time in the future. Try to get them down as low as you can. Not getting several months free when negotiating with seller. You ought to make sure you do that, because if you forget it, you just cost yourself probably several $1,000s in payments that you could have gotten just by asking. It's rare that I have ever run across any resistance to getting that. And you got to make sure you get your CYA letter signed from your seller in cases where the underlying loan has a due on sale clause. Here's your most common mistakes when you're selling. Allowing the buyer to take title with only a small down payment. If there's any mistake that's going to come back to haunt you, that one's going to be the one. Now you think I know that. Every time I've ever sold a house with a small down payment, I've regretted it. Every time. If the buyer has nothing at risk and nothing to lose, the first time something goes wrong, you are very top on their list to not pay. Not putting the proper protection clauses in the debt instruments. In your contract section of this module, we are going to talk about protecting yourself and making sure you get the proper clauses in your debt instruments. Allowing the buyer to dictate the rules and control the negotiation. As we've just discussed, you're in control. Maintain that control. Act like you're in control. And don't be a wimp when it comes time to sell. The buyer doesn't make the rules. You make the rules. It's your property. And believe me, you're not going to get near as much flack on that as you think, because buyers are going to recognize the opportunity. Agreeing to pay a large portion of the closing costs unnecessarily. I always get my seller to pay closing costs, at least as many of them as I can. What I can't get my seller to pay, guess who gets to pay if I'm doing a simultaneous closing? My buyer. Now, sometimes I have to take title and then transfer title. In those cases, I'm willing to eat the closing costs, but some of you live in areas, in states, where that would be prohibitive. For example, Maryland, 3% transfer tax. So if I'm buying just a $150,000 house, I got a $4,500 transfer tax. Now, what do you think the chances of I'm going to take title and then pass it on and pay that transfer tax? They fall in the category of slim to none or below. Other areas have huge transfer taxes. If that's the case, you're going to have to learn to do business avoiding that. And some of the ways you can do that are operate with land contracts. I'll buy with a land contract, Mr. Seller, simply because I don't want to pay the transfer tax. And neither do you? Because it's customary that we split it, isn't it? Yes. Well, let me just take control with a land contract, or possibly even a lease option. When I get my buyer ready to close, let me just have you deed it to him, and we only have to do this nonsense one time. All right. Not getting a CYA letter from buyer in cases where the underlying loan is due on sale. And not selling the house for more than appraised value. If it's a good house, good area, nice shape, why shouldn't you get more than what the rest of the world thinks it should be worth?